We want to get a greater understanding of how the death penalty is used in China, and for that we are joined again by Andrew Nathan. He is a professor of political science at Columbia University and an expert on human rights in China. Good to have you back.
Thank you.
Were you surprised that this execution was carried out despite reports of the person having a history of mental illness?
Not really, because they had said they would do it. And the Chinese understanding of mental illness isn't as broad as ours is here. A person has to be really crazy for them to go into one of the Chinese institutions for the criminally insane.
I think it's understood pretty much that China carries out the most executions of any country in the world. But give us an idea of the numbers and the offenses for which the death penalty is applied.
Well, the numbers are not public, but they're in the many, many thousands. One year I happened on an internal document that said that they had executed 15,000 in that year. And I think the numbers are down since then because they've put in an appeal system to try to reduce the number of executions. It goes for many different kinds of crimes, especially according to the Chinese criminal code when the circumstances are severe, which they don't spell out what that means. But especially for political crimes like rioting and opposing the state, and for corruption, those cases are very widely publicized.
We saw that earlier this year being applied to the rioting that took place in Western China, correct?
Yeah, that's right. They've been executing tranches of Uyghurs whom they accuse of rioting in Xinjiang.
When these sentences are carried out, you mentioned that there is an appeal. That's a relatively new process.
Yeah, they instituted a mandatory appeal about 2 years ago because it was felt by Chinese lawyers and judges that the death penalty was being used too much and too fast. So they send it up to the People's Supreme Court for review, and this has brought some reduction.
And what is the public attitude in China? How do people feel about the application of the death penalty there?
People in China, my impression is they generally support it because these cases are reported in the Chinese press as being outrageous and, hurting the feelings of the Chinese people. So there isn't any strong anti-death penalty movement in China.
And how much of this reaction that we're getting from the world, the outrage, could be sparked because of the fact that it's a European?
Well, I think that is part of it. It's very rare. I don't know when the last case was. And also because of the mental illness angle, I think those two angles are definitely causing a lot of international attention because the death penalty is widely used in China on Chinese people. And although the anti-death penalty movement opposes that, it doesn't spark the same kind of outrage.
Andrew Nathan, thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome.